All right, welcome back. This is part 2 for July 1st, 2011. This is Frank DiMora reporting with the last chronicles of planet Earth. And now I'm going to continue on. We just finished talking about what's happening in Greece as far as the riots going on there and how it's going to lead. These events, one at a time, are leading to the fulfillment of the Revelation chapter 13 verses 15 through 17, where we know that the Antichrist will take over. And as I said in my last video, I showed that there are problems in Europe, and obviously there's big problems in the United States, where they're under over or close to now $15 trillion in debt. The debt ceiling is just, when you look at the debt clock and see how much money is being added to that debt, you'll understand that the United States is in a mess. There's no way they're going to be able to sustain that. And as this other article just said, they keep printing the money, and this is definitely going to backfire, and there's going to be a collapse of the U.S. dollar. Now, I've been warning for a couple of years now, at least to the end of 2007, the beginning of 2008, that to watch for the states, because the states were going to go bankrupt, and there was going to be a lot of problems because of this, and now we are starting to see that. And here's some of the evidence. And again, these are events that are coming together, and they're just showing us that they're getting closer and closer to this collapse that's going to take place. These are just signs of what really is coming. Now here is one that says Minnesota shutdown prompts political blame game. And this was a news article that just came out. You can Google that, or you can go to my website. It's up there at my website. This is only 9 hours ago, July 1st, 2011. It says, with Minnesota state government closed for business, the focus shift Friday on who's to blame. The shutdown started at 12:01 a.m. Friday, the product of an ongoing dispute over taxes. Remember what I said in the first video about the taxes. And this is one of the reasons why they're rioting in the European Union and some of those nations or countries there. Over the taxes and spending between the Democratic Governor Mark Dayton and Republican legislative minority or majorities. It says talks fell apart well before the deadline, leaving state parks closed on the brink of the 4th of July weekend, putting road projects at a standstill and forcing thousands of state worker layoffs. So one of the other signs that I've been telling you to look for over these past 3 years, and if you go to my website and you start scrolling down and look into each month and each year, you'll see dozens and dozens of places where I warned you to watch for hundreds of thousands of Americans to keep getting laid off. That's what's happening. And the more people that get laid off, the less money, coffer money, that you have going in for taxes. And when that happens, the government doesn't have the money, and what happens? They shut down. This is what we're seeing taking place in Minnesota. And so that when we see more people getting laid off and less money going into the coffers for taxes, it just compounds the problem. So when you shut down and you lay people off, you're just asking for that train heading towards the brick wall to speed up even faster. It says the head of the state Republican and Democratic parties each say the other side is responsible. Now, we don't really care who is responsible. We know that for years they've been spending more money than they have. And because of this, it's thrown the economy off kilter. Not only the United States economy, but the rest of the world as well. And when you go to my website and you click onto the link, I'm not going to give you every detail from the article. But in the articles, they do show you that there is problems, and it's a worldwide problem. A problem that we see here in this article, the global train wreck. And this is why I'm talking about the train hitting the wall here, because that's what they're saying. Now, the United States, the European Union, I want you to understand this also. They have fallen under the curse of God that we see from Genesis 12:3. And the reason why this happened is because the United States and the European Union have come against Israel in that they are working in the peace negotiations to divide the land of Israel, to give the Palestinians their own nation inside Israel territory, and to make Jerusalem the capital. And we know from Genesis 12:3 and Joel 3:2 and Zechariah 12:3 that there will be a curse. And the curse will be that those nations, or anybody that comes and even burdens themselves, will be cut into pieces. And so the United States and the European Union, and we see nations like Greece who are getting ready to launch against Israel, they're in chaos the same time. These aren't coincidences. God is dealing with the people coming against Israel. Now Israel has been blessed while the rest of the world is falling apart. Let me show you what I mean. Here's an article that came out on in February of 2011. It's a little older, but it's just to show you what's happening in Israel. It says the Israel economy booms in the fourth quarter. I'm going to put this up so you can see this and why the rest of the world is trying to find money and trying to stay afloat. Israel is being blessed with a fantastic economy. It says the GDP rose by an annualized 7.8 in the fourth quarter of 2010. It says Israel GDP rose at an unprecedented pace of 7.8 on an annualized seasonal adjusted basis in the fourth quarter of 2010, the Central Bureau of Statistics reported today. The GDP rose by an analyzed 5.4% in the second half of last year, after rising 5% in the first half and 3.4% in the second half of 2009. The growth rate in the fourth quarter was the fastest since 2006, when Israel fought the second Lebanese war, Lebanon war, after which the economy slowed robust growth. So that during wartime you have problems like this, but Israel is growing, and they're growing very, very fast as far as, in relation to these other countries. Now, I just came back recently from Israel. I had a chance to spend 10 days in Israel, and I learned a lot while I was there. And I know that 80% of the income is coming from is coming from tourism. Tourism is expanding. We have people from all over the world coming to visit Israel, and Israel's being blessed at a time where all the rest of the nations are in such problems. And that includes China, because China is a nation that has been under the curse because they've been trying to force Israel into this two-state nation. And China's been plagued with droughts. They've been plagued with floods, and they know what's coming. And this is one of the reasons why China is trying to get away from their the United States reserve currency. So let me go down. We're going to go down to the next video, and we're going to be talking about relation to what's happening in the book of Revelation, with the warnings from the book of Revelation, to show you some really important technology that shows you that this is definitely the generation that Jesus was talking about in the book of Revelation. So scroll down and we'll continue on.